Can you hear me okay? Because I cannot hear you. I can't hear you, so my bad. So this room is weird. I'm going to turn like that and like that. It's going to feel weird for people here. But anyways, we'll try to make it work. If you have questions during the presentation, you might want, and they're very like kind of a, really, Olivier, I don't understand at all what you're talking about. You can raise your hand. If I see you, by chance I'm scanning the room like that, I might stop and ask you to ask the question, and we'll see where we go with that. I'm Olivier Bloch. You're here to hear about swimming pools, IoT and solutions around IoT. And this topic is for IT pros, but also for developers. Developers in the room? We're scared? No? Cool. We have some. And we will have a couple of more people on stage coming soon. Kishore and Gibi are going to come on stage and are going to talk about something very interesting, which is something that Intel, and Gibi is from Intel, has developed. And we'll talk about that in about half an hour. So you have to indulge the French guy for half an hour. We're going to present and talk about the following. The first one is I don't want to introduce IoT, because I hope you guys, by now, we're Thursday, you had like 3 days and a half to really ingest what IoT was about. If not, if you didn't get a chance to go to one of the IoT presentations or to our booth, then that's the right session. We'll talk about some of the complexities that are around creating, deploying, maintaining IoT solutions. I'll show you IoT Central from the perspective of an IT pro and how you manage, how you deploy, how do you configure this kind of SaaS applications. Then I'll talk about the past approach to IoT solutions, because at the end of the day, managing a SaaS application is good and all, but lots of customers actually want to have a deeper granularity in terms of customization and configuration and modification of an application of theirs. And so we'll talk about what an IoT solution is made of in principle, and then concretely what kind of services we recommend to use for the various parts of an IoT solution. I'll show you some first-party solution accelerators that Microsoft has developed and makes available. And we'll talk about some news that we announced, which is the fact that we now are starting hosting third-party solution accelerators. I'll tell you all about what this is. And we'll close with security, because that's important. Every single IoT topic should and does talk about security. And this is something that is in this talk today. IoT is about a lot of things, but not just about devices. It's growing super fast. You might have noticed that all the enterprises are onto what we call the digital transformation, trying to transform the way they do operations, optimizing thanks to cloud services and data coming from devices and other sources. Transform their products, transform their business model for their products. Stop just selling a one-off and sell a service for their products. Engage with the customers as well, having a better return of these customers thanks to the data they're able to analyze after digestion, thanks in most part to IoT solutions and applications. And also empower employees. We forget sometimes about the employees of companies, giving them the right tools, giving them the right setup, infrastructures, and access to information and data for them to do their work properly. And that's what we call a digital feedback loop. This is something that is enabled thanks to technologies around data and intelligence that is added on top of that data. Let me go back one slide real quick, because people have read the slide. But in case you were reading the slide, what is the number of devices we're expecting by, you raise the hand first, right? Number of devices by 2025 we're expecting. 80 billion. So this is a little gift, which is a IoT button, just to check if people are awake. And I have a couple more to give away. I'm going to ask some questions here and there, and give, actually a second question. Let's see if you read the fine print. The amount of data we're expecting these devices to create by 2025. Yes? Yes. Okay. There you go. Thank you, guys. Have your attention. Yes, I have other devices. Okay, guys, so it's all in good. Like IoT is the big promise. It's going to be magic. It's going to change your business. It's going to revolutionize everything. But it's not easy to implement. You might have realized that if you started working on that, it requires numerous skill sets in an enterprise to do that. You need to understand what devices are about. You need to understand what security is about. You need to understand how you're going to provision your device, how you're going to manage these devices, how you're going to merge the data from devices with other types of data, how you're going to deploy the solution in the back end, et cetera, et cetera. You need to have different types of skill sets in your workforce, or you need to work with third-party companies that can help you. Lots of IoT solutions, because of all that complexity and all the bits and pieces that are involved in them, will take time for you to deploy. And so setting up, deploying, testing, deploying, retesting, redeploying, customizing for customers, and so forth takes time. And this is something that lots of companies in today's market cannot afford. They need to get to market rapidly because their competitor is already in the middle of their transformation. They already have the business. They're taking the big share in the service business for whatever you're doing. And so you want to get to market fast. That's super important. And IT solutions are not simple and fast to develop. We're making it simpler, and we'll talk about that. Costs. Because of the previous reasons, and because of the maintenance that these IoT devices add on top of what you already have to maintain, there's a cost that actually comes up front. You need to equip your existing devices with connectivity, security, and things like that to have them share their data, or you need to add new devices, new gateways. And this has an upfront cost that could be totally prohibitive for you to switch to this kind of technologies. Once again, we're trying to help in that area. Last but not least, security. It was not heard about these bots that have been attacking, using DDoS type of attack through IoT devices. Was not heard about the casino that's been hacked through a fish tank. You've not heard about that? There was a fish tank that was installed in a casino by some vendor, and that has a very smart thermostat to measure temperature in there. And they had the good idea of connecting to the network of the casino. And someone hacked that little tiny devices, accessed the network of the casino, accessed tons of the information that was in the back, and was able to actually steal money from the casino, thanks to a fish tank sensor that was not secured and was connected to that network. Don't freak out. We can secure that, but this is the kind of thing that you have to pay attention to, because the fish tank might seem like was a little tiny Wi-Fi sensor, might be seeming like totally innocent and harmless, but actually it was not. So the first way of approaching IoT, the easiest way, is to consider a SaaS approach. Click deploy an app and just use it, right? And this is what Azure IoT Central is about. It's been announced as a GA product during Ignite. That means you can go to production with Azure IoT Central. And what that is it's a solution that will allow you to, in a matter of minutes or hours, create an app that is very advanced, production ready, and allows you to connect devices, analyze data from devices, hook up into line of business applications. It removes the burden of having to manage the services. It's SaaS. It scales, Microsoft hosts it, and you just have to use it. It also has a very simple pricing model per device that allows you to understand exactly where you're going. So if you look at the fine print, it's number of devices that you connect, right? And then there's a cap for data. If you stay per month beyond a certain level of number of messages, you stay with that price, and then every million message you consume, you have a little price to pay in addition, right? So it's pay as you go, based on devices, so you know exactly how much you're going to pay based on the number of devices you're deploying in your application. Pretty useful and good for you guys. Bless you. You okay? Okay, good. No, I'm not going to give you a button for that. Good try. The other thing is the scaling and growing, right? So when you start with an application, maybe with one customer, one place, one location, you equip one building, but then you need to grow, right? And so something that might seem daunting or hard, while using SaaS, it's not that hard. You add devices, and you can, thanks to the IoT Central features and capabilities, group your devices, make them available to a specific set of users, and so forth. You can also integrate into the existing applications that you have in your systems and your workflows. And I'll show that. It's pretty straightforward. You also are benefiting from what Azure IoT development has been doing for some time, where you're using security standards as part of the PaaS platform of Azure, and tons of protocols for IoT that we're also securing and so forth. What you can also benefit from is latest advances from us. So because it's a SaaS application, we will provide with the latest and greatest functionality without having you to have to redeploy, manage versions, and things like that. We will not break you. It's like a pledge. We're not here to break you. Like all SaaS solutions, it's here to add features, add functionality. We should not break you guys, so that's the objective, as always. Okay, so that's IoT Central. Let me show you real quick what that looks like. Let me actually go there. So in order for you to start playing with that, if you have not yet created an app on IoT Central, you have to go to the apps.iotcentral, AzureIoTCentral.com. That's the website, pretty straightforward. And you'll get that portal that will allow you to create new applications. You can play with IoT Central for free without an Azure subscription for 7 days. Until October, actually, you can extend that trial for 30 days. Then you have to create a subscription. But the solution will still be free for you if you stay below 5 devices. And on Azure, if you have a subscription, it doesn't mean you pay money. If you're not using it, it doesn't cost a penny. So good news, if you stay below 5 devices, IoT Central is free for you to use, okay? So I decided to create a new application. We're going to change the wording between free and paid. It's going to be trial and pay as you go, because the free version is where the paid tile is. Does that make sense? No, okay. And then you have, we'll change that. We had the comment immediately, and we're saying, no, paid is not paid because it's free if it's, anyways. So we have application templates, which are a starting point. Whether you start totally blank, whether you start with something already, in a certain shape, and we have something called Contoso, because we love that company, and we give them a lot of attention at Microsoft, and so we have these samples that are available for you. You define the name of the application. You try and find a unique name for that application. This is going to be the domain name for the landing page of your app. You decide which directory, which AAD directory you want to use for the users, the admins of that subscription. You choose the region you want to deploy it into, right? I need to select one of these things before everything appears. So everything will deploy in a matter of minutes, or actually seconds, to be fair. But I want to switch to something that already been deployed before to show you what that looks like and what you can do from there. So the solution that is here has been customized. The landing screen actually is that dashboard that has different tiles. You can add tiles of a type that are links or images or links within the application, or KPI tiles to show you the main numbers, the major numbers that you're interested in. All of that actually is configurable directly from the web page. So I'm an admin. I can do whatever I want here. I can define different types of roles. I'm going to show you that in a second. But then you can see here the types of widgets that you can add to your main dashboard for your application. I'm not going to go into details. We had another session about that, and you can discover all of that yourself. You don't need to be a hardcore developer of UIs in the web to do that. It's drag and drop. It's pretty straightforward. The second thing I want to show you is the administration panel of that application. I am the admin of this guy. There are several roles that you can define for the application. Everything is backed up by AAD, right? So basically, you can hook up your AAD instance in there and leverage that. You have what we call the application builder. That's going to be the guy who's going to create the dashboards for the devices models in your application, and so forth. And then you have the operators. The operators are the guys who are seeing the dashboard and interacting with devices, or eventually analyzing the data, doing root cause analysis and things like that. They're doing that as a user. They cannot modify the application. They are locked down. You have the billing that is managed from here because I'm an admin, once again, and we have different types of other information down there. If you want to add a user, go there, add a user. That's the manual way of doing things. The good news is very soon we're going to have a set of APIs for you to do these kind of things programmatically, right? You don't want to use manually like your 10,000 employees' usernames and define the role and so on. So it will allow you to do that in a programmatic way in order for you to be more efficient. The next thing you're going to do in there is create device models. I want to show you that real quick because it's pretty astonishing how fast you can do that. For now, we don't have templates. We're going to have a bunch of templates for various boards and devices that are available out there. We're going to work with partners on having more of these. And basically what they're going to give is something pre-populated with what I'm going to show you in a second. So that's going to be a device type. I'm going to call that Olivier new device type. I'm going to create that. So what that does, it starts the creation of what we call the device model. We're going to define what that type of device does, what kind of telemetry it sends, what kind of parameters it supports, what kind of properties it supports, what kind of commands it supports, what kind of rules we want to apply on this kind of device, and so forth. So real quick, I'm going to edit the template here, add a measurement, go to telemetry, temperature, select the field. That's going to be what the code on the device will use in that JSON packet to indicate the temperature to the backend. Define the units, define the minimum value. I don't like when it's too cold. Maximum value at Celsius, so it's boiling, it's cold enough. And we're going to have like 2 decimals, and it's red because it's hot. Good. So we have, as you see, a very simple way of defining what telemetry looks like. So let me save that. In the settings pane, you can actually add things like numbers, text, date, toggles, things you want to see in a dashboard for a user to interact or to read information, metadata from the device itself. The properties are things that are actually reported by the device. The device will feed the backend with these numbers and will inform the backend of its last known state, right? So imagine a room has a specific temperature. It will use a property to report its actual state. I am at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Otherwise, it will be super hot. And then you have commands that basically are, what are the things that my device can do? Can I turn it on? Can I turn it off? Etc. You define a name. You define the input that you want to have, which are the parameters of whichever function is going to execute on the device. IoT Central will hook up to that device, will pass on the parameters with the name of the command. Device will execute that command and will return the result. And so you have an immediate interaction with the device from the IoT Central panel. Rules, I'm going to get to that. Dashboard is where you're going to define what your dashboard for the device looks like. And you have bar chart, line chart, images, maps, and so forth. So let me actually switch to a device type that's been created before, the MX chip one, and just show you what that looks like, right? Here I have the raw telemetry from the device, the state of the device itself. That's a lot of things coming from this little MX chip dev kit that we have been giving away various occasions during the event. We're going to still have some more at some point, I think, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We went out of stock really quick, but here you can see, settings. For example, voltage, fan speed, current. Can I toggle on and off a sensor on my device? The properties would be the things that the device is sending back to me. Let me remove that ugly yellow thing up there. So the properties are the things that the device reports up. It says, hey, I've been manufactured in Seattle, because that's something that maybe is flashed on the device where it's been manufactured. The actual location, let's assume it has a GPS, which it doesn't in that case, but we are just pretending. You have then the commands. What kind of commands can I ask the device to execute? And then you have the dashboard. So the dashboard itself is that view for the user of that device, that one device here, right? And so let me, for example, do something on that device. So this is not device, it's me. I'm going to shake this guy, and if everything is fine, he's going to roll a die. And here we're going to see the die number change, right? So there's a direct interaction between the device and the backend. Reporting is real time between that device and the backend and vice versa. All of that in a matter of minutes. Honestly, like you can play around with that and create that in a matter of minutes. What you need to do, though, is develop the code for that. This thing needs to send the right JSON message, need to receive the right command, and execute what he has to do. So there's still work needs to happen in there. We have SDKs, we have documentation, we have lots of help coming up, or actually already available that is out there for you to play with. So that's IoT Central. Last but not least, we're talking about connecting this application to your infrastructure. So what I want to show you is eventually how you can work on the device data and define rules and implement an action, right? And so the first thing you will want to do is define a rule. You put a name, and then at the end, let me actually edit that one. What I'm going to do is set an action, right? So if temperature has been detected as being above a certain threshold, do that. We're going to enrich these rules with more sophisticated type of things, like functions and so on. For now, you have like simple rules in there, but you can actually already do a lot with them. And then I'm going to invoke an action, and you've seen the list of available actions today. You can send an email. You can attach your webhook, which means you can do anything you want there. You can use Microsoft Flow. You can use Azure Functions. Make sense? So all of that allows you to hook up your application into your business application, right? So this was IoT Central. It's all magic. It's all SaaS. It works super well. It's based on Azure PaaS services. And very often, customers are saying, all great and good. I don't have the resources to implement everything myself, and I'm super happy to have IoT Central. Other customers are coming to us telling us, no, I need to have something that I manage. I want to put these services. I have IP somewhere that I've been developing to do analytics and so on. I want that to be, hosted there and that's there. And so they want to have this kind of control over their apps. And basically what we're doing, we're providing them with guidance on how to do that and what we call the solution accelerators, templates of pre-configured solutions for them to get started faster with their application. Both are based on what we call the yes question. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that's a good question, actually, that the gentleman is asking down there, and I'm going to give you that for that question. You let me talk, though, right? So the question is, can I actually then set commands in a programmatic way when there's a rule that happens? Not yet, but that's coming, definitely. You have ways to interact programmatically that is coming with the overall Azure IT Central application. It's not there yet. This is going to be part of these things you'll be able to do. So that's coming, not yet. Yes, I knew it was a bad idea.
No, but that's the point. See,
yeah.
You can program those into that device, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
From IoT Central
yes.
to issue the commands that you might want to
Yes, yes. And that's definitely a scenario that we will be, yes, definitely. So these solutions that are behind there, they all go by a reference architecture that we use as a recommendation for our customers, right? And it all starts with that view of what is IoT, an IoT solution. Things that are the devices that you connect securely and extract data from. And then insights, which is what kind of information can I extract from that data, from the devices? And then actions, what can I do with that data? How can I automate workflow for maintenance and things like that, right? So this is the view, the perfect view. So we tell that to a customer, he looks at that, he goes home, he goes to sleep, and then he dreams about that, which is like, oh, it's a bit more complex than what the Microsoft guy told me, because he stopped listening after a few minutes. But here, what we're seeing is that there's tons of things that you need to take care of and to pay attention to. Security end-to-end is certainly one you definitely need to not forget about, and don't let a fish tank with a sensor not protected, right? You got that, right? One thing, fish tank, protect. Hardware certification, updating the devices. How do you integrate into your enterprise? Like users will have a phone, you know how to manage that, and they're going to have a little tiny sensor with them to geolocalize them, in a secure area, right? How do you manage that device? How do you know who's wearing it? How do you know what firmware it's running and things like that, right? So it becomes something that is eventually complicated that we want to simplify for you guys. So let's scratch a little bit that surface. On the thing side of things, you're going to have devices. You'll need to connect them to the cloud because you want to have to manage this from a service, a service that is centralized. This cloud gateway is something that will do device management for you on your behalf and eventually provision, send, and receive data from the devices. You're going to have to think about where the data goes. How do you store it? You'll have to think about stream processing that data. So processing the data on the flight for eventually storing data that's been processed versus just like going to that database, waiting 2 hours for it to load, and then do your analytics. Then you're going to have to report to the users. You're going to have tools and so on, and eventually tools that allow you to control the devices back. And then you're going to have to integrate into your business applications, right? So integrate from the data as being processed near real time, and eventually report through the tools, give interaction to the user. It's a bit complicated, even more, when I add the reality of things. Devices will not just be dumb devices. Sometimes they will be smart. You will want to manage the intelligence running on these devices. So come a new type of devices that we call edge devices. You'll still need to manage them and the software running on them, like the individual pieces of that software. You're going to have to think about how do you provision these devices. Devices come from the factory out of the box. How do you put special credentials on these devices for them to connect to your network securely and to your infrastructure and application? You're going to have to think about transforming the data. How do I, act in a smart way when storing data from devices? We're talking about 180 zettabyte of data by 2025 created by devices. Can you afford storing that much amount of data, or the amount of data that IoT applications will generate into a storage that will not cost you an arm or something? You have to think about transforming the data, compressing and encrypting, and eventually, starting parsing that data and just keep what really is relevant and important for you. You're going to have to think about a cold pass. Question. Yeah. So the question is we understand that IoT Hub is something that is used by the various players. What you're asking is, where is AI fitting in that model? I'm coming to that. So the thing you have to think about is warm pass, cold pass. What are the different approaches for that data? Do you want to store and process later? Do you want to actually process the data as it arrives? So this is actually different types of storage services that you're going to need to use. And actually, machine learning is going to come into play as well. You want to do something smart on that data, right? And so you need to run this model and benefit from the infinite resources that you have in the cloud. And we'll talk about the edge device that can run something in other sessions, but the idea is like you are able to start bringing some of that intelligence all the way down to the edge devices. That's a different topic, but here machine learning comes into play as a way to analyze data, whether on a warm or a cold path. You're going to have to manage your users. How do you manage the users of these devices, right? How do you integrate these devices into your user management flow as well? And then you need to think also about security, deployment, high availability, and disaster recovery. All of that together. This is a lot of things to think about. So here are some tech choices. First one, and that's an easy one. What do I use as a cloud gateway? IoT Hub. Who was it? There you go. Leandro, you're cheating. He's from the marketing team. So you're going to have to chase him for that device. IoT Hub is a suggestion for how to connect your devices to the cloud. We have a device provisioning service that allows you to provision devices at scale. We have Azure IoT Edge, which is a runtime that runs on devices that hooks up and is managed from IoT Hub to run workloads from the cloud on devices, to support offline scenarios of an IoT infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. I can talk about it for hours on the booth after if you're happy and you're not sick of me or whatever. Stream Analytics is another service that does near real-time analytics. Now we also have things like machine learning APIs that can be invoked when you're actually dealing with data in Stream Analytics jobs. We have time series insights, which is a time-stamped based database that you can use for not only storing data, but also analyzing that data. You have 1 minute delay on that data, but then you can do your root cause analysis. You can leverage APIs of time series insight to display that data in the various tools that we have already. Cosmos DB, blob storage. Then comes the things on the UI. While JavaScript React is a good recommendation to get started, Logic Apps on the business integration side of things. So these are all Azure PaaS services, Azure ML for the machine learning side of things, and Azure Active Directory for what the user management is concerned. On top of that, you benefit from the Azure offer. Everything is Azure here, right? Little asterisks here. You don't have to use Microsoft solutions. If you have an equivalent in the form of an open source project that you want to bring on Azure as part of your application, you can do that. No problem. We support that. You want to replace Stream Analytics with Storm? No problem. You can do that. So think of it as, at that point, a recommendation on the type of service you can benefit from, right? Because it's Azure, you have the full RBAC way of managing, the access to your services, the memory, and so on. In terms of deployment, think of it as, we have a PaaS platform, we have Service Fabric, we have AKS. If you want to start doing microservices in the form of containers and manage that from AKS, your application can definitely do that. All of that, once again, as I was saying, is in a document that we call the IoT reference architecture. So I invite you to go to that website, not now, but as soon as you're out of the session, to learn more about that reference architecture. Before I pass on to my dear friends here, I want to show you real quick a solution accelerator. I was mentioning that we have templates that implement that reference architecture directly. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. I'm already running over time, but I think it's important for you to see that. So the Azure IoT Solution Accelerators are these templates that will deploy a set of PaaS services on your Azure subscription that implement that reference architecture for an IoT type of application. We have some generic scenarios here: remote monitoring, connected factory, predictive maintenance, and device simulation. I'm kind of hiding this one. This is kind of the spoiler of the next topic here. After deploying remote monitoring, what I'm getting is something that is very similar to Azure IoT Central, except that that allows me to manage my devices, display the data real time, implement rules, do maintenance on these devices by setting commands and so on. Things that, as you were mentioning, is not available in IoT Central yet, but is available here in the PaaS version of that. All of that happens to be a set of PaaS services on your Azure subscription. This is the resource group that hosts all these services that have been deployed on my remote monitoring solution. And so I can go there, and I can go and change the configuration. I can interact directly with these PaaS services. I can change the web app. I can change my networking settings and so forth. Even better, all of that, all of the code that goes into the microservices that constitute the architecture of that remote monitoring solution, everything is open source on GitHub. So you can take that as your starting point for your project and start modifying the code there. One thing I want to show you in there, once you get into that GitHub repository, is the architecture of that solution. And you will find all the bits and pieces that have been implemented in a way that is actually based on microservices, and we're using AKS for doing the deployment and the management of these microservices that are Docker containers. And each of these containers have a functionality and interact with the Azure resources. Azure resources being IoT Hub, Stream Analytics, functions, storage, et cetera, et cetera. So this is what you get with the pre-configured solutions, with the solution accelerators that are the first-party ones. Now what I want to show you real quick before handing over is this one. On the catalog of solution accelerators, now we start having third-party ones. And for that, I would like to welcome Kishore and Gibi here, and have you guys talk a bit more about what this Intel Solution Accelerator is about. You on?
Okay.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Great.
Like
Thank you, Oliver.
Test mine. Okay, good.
Excellent. As we just heard, for a while we had the first-party solution accelerators that we built in guidelines with reference architecture. We're happy to announce that we're releasing a third-party solution accelerator that was built in collaboration with Intel. So, quick introduction, I'm Nanda Kishore, PM in Azure IoT Solutions team. Today I'm joined by a guest from Intel.
Thank you, Kishore. Thank you for this opportunity to be here and participate in this session. I'm GB Rafael. I work in Intel. I work in the IoT group at Intel. So I run a segment at Intel where we are looking at how IoT can improve the efficiency in the supply chain.
Excellent. So this is really exciting. GB's team and our team has been working for many months, and it's finally great to see this coming together. And I'm also meeting GB for the first time, even though teams have been remote and working for many months. So tell us more about what's the real motivation for Intel to build a logistics platform solution, and what's the rationale? Like, how is it different from other products that exist in the market today?
Right. Happy to talk about our journey and why we did what we did here. Also, we're going to try a demo at the end. So I have my colleague Chris here, who has some devices. You can go touch it and play with it, and we'll show some dashboard. He's collecting data now. To show the dashboard at the end. So where it started, Intel is the number 5th supply chain in the world. I don't know if many of you know this. And we ship millions of products to thousands of locations, thousands of SKUs, and we both receive and sell. Part of that is our fabrication equipment. You know, today, when we ship these $1 million, for example, lithographic machine, these have tilt and shock sensitivity. And if you hit the threshold, it's going to lose calibration. And today, we don't have a way to know in real time what's going on with the shipment. You ship it from, say, Chandler to Ireland. Many times, it reaches the destination with the calibration off. And obviously, we're not worried about shipping it back. We can afford the postal charge. But what happens is, if it delays, we caught it at the last minute, and if it delays our supply chain, that's millions of dollars wastage for us. So this project actually started with our supply chain group coming to IoT and asking, hey, can you help us? Can you do something about it? Can we know in real time what's going on with these shipments? That's how it started. So that's how the journey started, and then we looked at the world around, and were blown away. So some of the statistics, if you haven't heard it, $60 billion of value was stolen last year. $60 billion with a B. $150 billion of food is wasted in U.S., doesn't reach a plate in the U.S. That's half of the food produced in the U.S. goes to a landslide. And the world today produces food for 10 billion people. We are a couple of billion less, right, if you add the population. Why is there world hunger? In India, more than 50% of fruits and vegetables produced in India doesn't reach a fork from the farm. So amazing, mind-blowing pain points around the world. And it's not always you get to work on a project that puts a dent on world hunger.
And truly, this is, I think, you're truly solving a world hunger in a way, right? This is excellent. So what are the unique capabilities? Like, where does it stand in the market from others?
So supply chain did not start yesterday. It's been going on for hundreds of years. And why are these problems still existing? So we looked at the market, right? And we found 2 issues with the solutions in the market, and both are related to cost. The first issue, I would say the CapEx cost. Once you put a modem and some processing and some memory into a box, this is going to cost you $200, $300, right? You can't put one of these in every box, right? You can put this one in every truck, but not in every box. But tilt and shock, we need tilt and shock sensed at the box level. You can say the truck tilted. We need at the box level. Temperature, an average reefer has tens of degrees of variability inside the truck. So if you want to really certify a product, you need to sense it as close to the, especially in pharma, you need to sense it as close to the box as possible. Theft, you don't hear people running away with trucks, but they do run away with boxes, right? I have a customer who told me they lose hundreds of $1,000s in one country alone because people just run away with the boxes. It's an apparel company. People run away with the boxes. So we need a box-level tracking solution, and we found that is missing in the market. So that's a CapEx part. The other aspect of it is the operational part. So shipping is one way, point A to point B, but these devices costing $200, $300, they have to be brought back. It's not one way. And what we have what we have been hearing is 40% of the time they don't come back, they get lost. Even to bring it back, to maintain this device, a post-stage and breakage, that's a big pain. So we found these two big issues, why people are not using real-time devices that could provide real-time data. And so we decided, hey, let's go and build a platform that could maybe address both these problems. So that's how we built the Intel Connected Logistics Platform. And very quickly, we have multiple patents on the platform. Very quickly, to talk about three things, right? One, what we did is we built a box-level sensor, a data acquisition device that is very cheap. It has nothing fancy in it. It's a very basic microcontroller with 5 sensors, temperature, humidity, shock, and tilt using an accelerometer. It has an ambient light temperature, so you can detect tampering. You can put it inside a box and know when the box is opened or not. And then that's it. That's pretty much it. So very cheap, right? And instead of using a modem, now how do I get the data from that sensor to the cloud? We use a short-range radio, right, instead of a long-range radio. So we use 15.4, Intel's proprietary, very low-power mesh network, wireless sensing network. So you could have multiple of these sensors in each of these boxes sending data to a gateway. So we have a mobile gateway. It's one is there with Chris. It's about the size of this phone. That could go with the package, but keep collecting data from multiple of these sensors at the package level. And that gateway pumps up data to the cloud, and that's where Azure comes in. And the way we look at gateway today is the way I look at the cell phone, right? Today, you don't pay for the infrastructure. Infrastructure is built for you. So the future we see is we would put those gateways in every warehouse, every modality of transport, trucks, ships, rails, planes, so that the sensors can move from one gateway to the other while maintaining visibility. And these sensors should be thrown away, one-time use. You don't have to ship it back. So that way, we are kind of addressing both these problems. You're slashing unit cost of visibility by like 10 times, and we are eliminating the operational cost by making it one-time use.
That's awesome. So you could have done this in many different ways. This is the first third-party solution that we are releasing in Azure. Why did you choose Azure? What's unique about Azure that you realize that is a value proposition that we should offer it as a third party?
Absolutely. That's probably the most relevant question for this session, right?
Absolutely.
So first, to begin with, we were quite blown away with your reference architecture, right? It's a blueprint which just says, build it this way, and it works, right? So the solution is 100% compatible with the reference architecture that Oliver talked about. And then we used the infrastructure, the microservices, all the components that Oliver showed, the stream processing, IoT hub, and in the UI tools. We were able to see data on the cloud in a day. That talks a lot about how ready this is and how plug and play and how much effort these guys have put to bring it all together. So, and we truly believe, we like the way you call it as a solution accelerator, because it's really a solution accelerator in the sense that we have put together about 90% of the work here. You could see the data, but we are still providing the 10% flexibility to our go-to-market partners to bring their secret sauce on top of this, right? So in terms of providing time to market, which is what I sell, time to market for my partners, this is truly a solution accelerator.
It's fantastic. So if you have a need for a logistics solution, this is something that you can have a jump start with and then customize that as a need from there. So should we get into a demo?
Absolutely.
So Chris, if you're ready, maybe we can switch over.
Chris has been dancing with the gateway, so we can see some shocks and tilts and some, there you go. So this is our dashboard that works on Azure. We use many of the Azure tools to put this together. And the 5 parameters we are sensing today, so the first one is temperature. You don't see much difference there because it's almost ambient is constant. But, refresh? No, I think we're good. I think you're good.
And temperature variation should be.
Oh, you have to log in? Can you log in, Chris?
Security.
You didn't see that coming.
We'll talk about security just after. That's the segue.
It's an excellent point, right? So this is good.
The boss doesn't have the password. That's the security level we have.
There you go. Or the boss is spoiled. That's the way we look at it.
He doesn't get to have the keys.
All right, you want to go? It'll come. Come on.
Take a second. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Go ahead, Chris. You came all the way here. Go ahead. Show it.
I'm already here.
Oh, you don't have them. Okay, let's go. So this temperature and light is interesting. Chris was shining one of his torch he has with him on the sensor. So you can see, so this we can detect things like door opened on a truck, right? Where did it close? Where did it open? Has somebody opened the box or not using the light sensor? Shock, Chris has been going up and down the stairs. You can sense the shock.
I saw him dropping a couple of times. I can see the spikes.
So those spikes would be the ones. So this red line you see here are thresholds, right? You don't want to see, so you can set a threshold for each of the sensor, and as soon as it breaches the threshold, you'll get an alarm in a minute, right? That's more important than seeing this, the status data. Tilts, he's been, walking around with it, and you can see a bunch of tilts. This is very important for us as Intel, right? Most of our fab equipments are very tilt and shock sensitive. Humidity, I don't see you'll see much. It's ambient humidity. So there you go. So
excellent. This is great. And I know for sure that Chris has been playing with the device, and it's clearly visible here. So what's next for the customers? So if one of our partners and customers want to take advantage of the solution and kind of build on top of it, what's next?
So in terms of what's next, this is our first generation platform. In the we went after boxes on a truck. Obviously what moves breaks, but in order to optimize the supply chain end to end, you need to optimize from product inception to consumption, right? So our next attempt is to take it to multiple segments, to look at the supply chain from end to end. And in terms of where you can find this would be up in Azure-IoT-Solutions.com as a downloadable Try Me experience.
Exactly. So starting in a week from now, you should be able to go to Azure-IoT-Solutions.com and try the solution on the portal. That means you will be able to deploy the solution to your subscription and then run with it and have a simulated device sending the data. So if you go to the Azure IoT Solutions today, right now you will have all of the details, but we are working on enabling the Try Me experience. That means you should be able to deploy to your solution. That's coming up in a week or so.
Shameless plug for our booth, Capgemini, one of our partner booth, 215, right, Chris? 215 booth. Please check it out. You can see the devices. You can play with it. It's downstairs. Obviously, you can also go to Intel website, intel.com/supply chain IoT, which we maintain. My team maintains that. And both of us are happy to stick around. If you have any questions, come meet us and email us. We'll be happy to provide you more information.
This is excellent. This is exciting, and thank you for joining us today and helping us launch the first third-party solution on our platform. Thank you again.
Thank you, Kishore.
Thanks for staying. Yes, seriously, because the next topic is security, which is it's not always the most fancy one. I'll make it short though, because actually we are at Microsoft Ignite and Envision, and the Ignite part is very much about Azure platform and what it delivers and provides, right? So I cannot talk as well about security as would some of my colleagues that are working on some of these services. What I want to bring up is, from the IoT solution perspective, what is it that it can benefit from? We at Microsoft have decades of experience in the enterprise. I think no one can deny that. And so we've built on that experience, and now we have a set of services such as the Azure Security Center for IoT that actually is for IoT starting in a couple of weeks from now. And we'll have that integration I'm going to show you in a second. All of that is about end-to-end security. On the cloud side of things, we're pretty confident that everything is secure. We have the tools and so on, and we continue improving on that. We offer you these services hosted on our data centers in cloud and guarantee a level of safety, security, and so forth for you guys. So that is the part that actually is great, which is we are starting to bring some of that security and the principle of that security all the way down to the edge, to the devices. And so we kind of like close the full end-to-end story by having the same level of security brought all the way down. If you've been to one of the Azure Sphere, I think Galen Hunt did a very good job at presenting the Azure Sphere product. I think he's scoring as a top presenter at the event. So So I count on you guys for the evaluation of this session to kind of try and get just behind him. That'd be awesome. But in a nutshell, he's been presenting what Azure Sphere is about. And this is a foray from Microsoft into securing the hardware, the devices. And we're working closely with lots of manufacturers and people who are working in that space, like Intel and others, for a long time. So we're not kind of reinventing the wheel. What we're proposing with the Azure Sphere product is something that will secure devices all the way down to the hardware. The silicon architecture is something that we actually enforce in Azure Sphere products. We have our own Microsoft chip that actually is produced by us that implements that architecture for a secure hardware. We will also license to other OEMs that model so that people can use it. In addition to the silicon, you need an OS, a very secure OS that will actually run, be the power, the fuel of that device. And so we developed, based on the Linux kernel, a very tiny, robust, real-time OS that is dedicated for Azure Sphere and is provided as that second pillar of Azure Sphere. The third one is what we call the Azure Sphere Secure Service. That's a service that Microsoft maintains that will ensure these devices are always up to date. They're always secure and safe. You will not get Windows update type of things on these devices. It's not like it's going to reboot every day to implement something. It's more that if we detect that there is a potential issue on the OS itself, which we hope there's not too many of them, and I'm fairly sure knowing Galen and team that there's not a lot of holes in there, that we take action at updating that OS for you guys. So what you get when you get Azure Sphere as a device is the silicon, the OS on it, and 10 years of free service for security. It's pretty brilliant. You can go back and see the presentation from Galen. It's really great. The other thing that we're doing is we're bringing that runtime IoT Edge and all the functionality that we can think of for signing pieces of software, for containerizing, for using the TPMs and other secure storage that are available on hardware to make sure that devices are authenticating, devices are capable of doing encryption, and devices are secure all the way down to these edge things. We have SDKs as well that allow you to implement provisioning at scale, connectivity with authentication to IoT Hub so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel on the device itself. You can just benefit from these SDKs. These SDKs run on any sort of platforms out there. If you want to connect IoT Hub from a microcontroller running free RTOS with C code, we have an SDK for that. You want to use Python on another type of device, no problem. Java is there as well. C# is there as well. And the list goes on. The idea is to provide you with the tools to have that secure authentication of devices, management from the cloud through IoT Hub of these devices, and using as much as possible these 7 principles of security that Galen talks about very well and that I recommend very much that you guys take a look at. Windows IoT Core is also an offer from Microsoft that has security in mind. Windows IoT Core is secure, benefits from the decades of experience with Windows itself in an IoT form factor. Once again, we have sessions for that, so we'll invite you to go to these ones. The one thing I would like to show you, who's familiar with Azure Security Center? Some of you. So think of it as your ultimate dashboard for securing your Azure-based solutions. And so I'm not the guy from that team, so I will show you what I know about it and what I understand about it. The idea of the Azure Security Center is to have a one place where you can monitor proactively and reactively the issues, the security issues that can happen. And we've been working really hard with them in the last few months to integrate IoT scenarios, IoT solutions, IoT Hub, IoT devices into Azure Security Center. So what you will get in a little is not only the ability to add an IoT Hub into your dashboard in Security Center and start seeing what's happening on that side, but you also get a new entry in the IoT Hub dashboard, which will allow you to see what your application is doing and how it's behaving. The first thing that you see here is an overview. That's a dashboard of the actual health of your IoT application. you can see that we have threat prevention, threat detection. And this applies to not only the IoT Hub service itself and the devices attached to that IoT Hub. It also applies to other resources that you can attach, that you can add into that resources tab here to track behaviors of other services that are actually part of your IoT solution. I was describing this like used diagram of what an IoT solution is made of. It's plenty of different types of services. If you want to have one view about your IoT application in terms of security, everything can happen here. You just add resources in that list of resources. Here you can see we have IoT hubs, we have a hand hub, we have storage, and we have tons of other things. We have Kubernetes, SQL database, tons of things that are part of an IoT solution and application. The recommendations are things that the security center will detect and flag as risks. And it will bring them up and say, hey, you have a certain number of devices that have open ports. You might not want to keep these ports open, so you might want to go fix that. It's talking about enabling audit on the SQL database. Tons of things that you guys know about. Here, no more excuses. You can see exactly where the potential threats are, and you can go about fixing them. Well, if something happened, yes, question?
One question from my overall ecosystem engagement.
Yes.
Azure IoT is integrated with BSDS, so we could ideally follow the complete CI/CD pipeline for implementing.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes, yes. So the question is about the CI/CD part of things and the integration of the IoT Hub service itself with VSTS and the CI/CD infrastructure. The answer is yes. We actually go beyond that because so VSTS now named Azure DevOps, and we go beyond that. We go all the way down to the IoT Edge infrastructure as well. So IoT Edge being a runtime that allows you to run services from the cloud, like machine learning, like stream analytics, like functions, and your custom code in the form of Docker containers. What we are doing, actually, we're allowing you to manage the CI/CD of your IoT Edge devices through Jenkins and soon through Azure DevOps as well. So we have the whole thing covered all the way down to devices as well. And IoT Hub is a PaaS service on Azure, so it's part of that story. Anyways. And here in the alerts panel, you can see things that might have gone wrong. And you can see that there's been a malicious communication here. And you have recommendation on how to go fix that, right? So everything in that single view, which is the Azure Security Center view for Azure IoT. So guys, thanks a lot for coming today. We have plenty of time for questions, and that's awesome, because I'm sure you guys have plenty. And I welcome you as well on the booth. Later on, if you want, I'll be there. And we can talk about tons of things that we've not covered today. I hope that IoT solutions are clearer for you today. If not, you can bombard me and our friends here from Intel with questions. Thank you very much. Don't forget to fill in the evaluations. And, well, have a great day and nice party tonight. Thank you. Any questions? Yes? Yeah.
And are those like custom programmed, or is Microsoft can also come up with some hubs that we can utilize in-house for things that don't go above and we don't want to use Azure?
Yeah.
We don't want to use Azure Stack just to implement an IoT solution.
Okay. So you don't want to use the Azure Stack to implement an IoT solution, but you would like to have on-premise a full IoT solution that benefits from the Azure services.
Yeah, something that we can.
But without connecting.
After Microsoft or
Okay.
put on, like a server, like a Microsoft server solution.
Yeah.
That says, hey, here's an IoT.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the short answer is we will not open source IoT Hub. This is not in the plans. There are third-party solutions. I know the Apache Foundation has tons of things. The Eclipse Foundation has tons of things. We work with them on making sure that we can bridge, the two worlds. And so, like, typically, if you're looking for something that you want to build yourself, I recommend looking at the Eclipse IoT solutions. They have tons of things down there. On our side, we actually are providing things that are, I haven't attached to Azure at some point. We want to provide that cloud management. However, if you want to consider solutions where you have an offline scenario because you don't want to be constantly connected to Azure, you can look closer at IoT Edge, and I'm happy to talk to you on the booth about IoT Edge as a solution for running an infrastructure where you have the IoT Edge runtime that hooks up to edge to leaf devices that themselves can communicate with one another. We have a storage capability. We have analytics capabilities. You can run machine learning algorithms and so on. One thing you will need very rapidly is to have the power of something in the back end for training your machine learning models, for storing the amount of data these devices will create and generate. So the architecture of having several levels and having eventually an IoT infrastructure with several IoT edge gateways that deal with several set of devices and themselves, when they get connected, can do the synchronization, can do the the upload of data that's been stored locally and so forth, is totally doable. And IoT Edge happens to be based on Docker containers. So what you need is a Windows or Linux box and hardware resources that you want for the scale of that IoT Edge device in terms of CPU, GPU, memory, and whatnot. That make sense? Well, did you get one of these devices? Did you get one?
Not yet.
There you go. That was the last one, but still, I'm taking questions.
Is this all? Yeah. Couple of questions about the alerts and IoT Central. You mentioned that you can connect an alert and send emails. Yep. Can you set that alerts in IoT Central connects to an Azure action group?
Not directly, but the connectors that we have right now are webhooks, function, and Microsoft Flow. So you can totally imagine actually flowing into another, whether application of your own or one of the connectors you have behind Microsoft Flow or Logic Apps for doing that. Yeah. So that's totally doable. Okay. But it's not natively supported as as one of the connectors or functionality of Central today.
Yeah. And then some questions about pricing in the IoT Central, because you say 0 to 5 devices are free, right?
Yes.
And but there's also on the pricing page it says that when you reach 1 million messages, yeah, it's like $1 or something. It's likely that happens with 0 to 5 devices. But if you reach like that limit, will it be a cost even if you have less than 5 devices?
Yes. Yes.
It will be a cost.
Yeah, actually, the 5 devices comes along with. Let me actually bring the page to be precise here. So to be super precise, actually, there's an asterisk somewhere that says that, this one. So each device comes with 50,000 messages per month. So up to 5 and 50,000 messages for each of them, you're free.
Okay, and
if any of them, or if the total, or actually I think if any of them goes beyond the 50,000, okay, you're actually going through the roof. So if you have only one device, you're limited to 50,000 messages. Okay. Right.
And then when you use an edge device on IoT Central, is it the edge device that counts as a device and not the devices connected to the edge device?
Today, this edge device is counted as one device. We don't have yet support in IoT Central for managing the configuration of the IoT edge device like you do on IoT Hub. And because you don't have access to the IoT Hub, you cannot configure the edge devices that are behind your IoT Central application today. But that's work in progress. It's going to come soon, and you'll be able to do whatever you're doing in IoT Hub portal to configure the IoT edge devices in terms of defining which modules they're running, what is the routing, and so forth. You'll be able to do that in IoT Central really soon.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
Hi there. Question about deployment. Thinking about IoT Core, you addressed some of the security points in one of the later slides, but what about application and service management with the devices? Is there a case there? Yeah.
So when it comes to the application management on devices, when device running Windows IoT have their own world, and there's now a device update service that allows you to manage the Windows OS updates. And all the rest go through the regular Windows tools, right? Intune and others, where you can actually remotely manage these devices through the regular tooling. For the devices not running Windows, the ones that actually are running your own code, in a nutshell, if they're running IoT Edge, you manage the software in the form of containers, of modules on your Edge device. IoT Hub gives you that functionality at scale, because you can address groups of devices. You can set up what we call we have a service in IoT Hub which is called the automatic device management that allows you to chain a series of modification in device twin, commands to devices to implement these device management functionalities for you, right? So you still have to do some of it because we don't know how the firmware update will be done or how the app update will be done on that or that device, but we provide the plumbing for you to implement that.
Perfect.
So edge devices or leaf devices, you have the answer for that, right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I like the way you're just lining up for the mic.
Question regarding the IoT gateways.
Yes.
Do we have to put the gateway in a firewall DMZ?
No, you don't have to. The gateway actually can interact with IoT Hub. The gateway in the IoT Edge version, right?
Yeah.
So that IoT Edge gateway will act as a device, so you can actually go through the regular network. So we're using MQTT for communicating from the device up to the cloud, and we can go over WebSockets if the ports for MQTT are closed. There's no need to actually put that into a specific DMZ or whatnot. Device can be totally outside, even if it's a gateway.
Okay, thank you.
On peut en parler plus après, si vous voulez.
A question about the message processing on IoT. So is there any limitation for the device queue?
It limits for the device queue as in amount of messages that are in the IoT Hub queue per devices. There is a limit.
Messages,
It's not per device. It's actually, depending on the queue of the IoT Hub, you have a limited number of messages per day and per month, right? So then you have the notion of units for each of them. We can go through the details of that. There's no limit per se per device. There's a queue for the cloud-to-device messages.
So I see the per device message problem because once we have in the 500 devices and then we pump the messages. So if having more than 50, then your device is blocked.
More than 50 cloud-to-device messages. Yes. Okay, yeah. So cloud-to-device messages, yes. If the device comes offline, after the 50th message you try to send to the device, the 50th first will be denied, will be rejected. And you cannot, we can work with you if you have a very specific scenario that requires doing that. Otherwise, what we recommend is using device twins rather than direct messages. Okay. Or device to cloud to device messages. But that limit of 50 is not going away. Very specific scenario, we can go by hand, augment your limit. It's a soft limit that we impose for COGS on our side. If you have a very specific scenario that justifies doing that, we can do that. You can file a ticket on Azure portal and ask for it, and it will study the case in.
Right. And routing, is there any limitation like a 10 routing on the IoT? So if we have number of applications that route the message from the device to cloud.
I think there are limits in terms of number of routes you can define, yes, and number of custom endpoints you can create. I don't know these numbers, but I know there are limits.
Currently is in 10, so if you have another 2 applications, I have to go with a different IoT. I can't go with the same.
Whether you have to go with a different IoT Hub, whether you have to, once again, file a ticket on Azure, and we study your case, and we see if we can help you out with that. But think about, so the limits we're putting in are very often, in the parameters of common scenarios. So there's 2 things to do. There's try to sync back your architecture and say, okay, so maybe I don't need to have that many routes. Maybe I can do my analytics after, and maybe I'm saving some money, or I don't know. The IoT Hub service itself cannot support all the analytics you would do in the back end. Otherwise, we would have to bump the price of IoT Hub to a point that no one will use it. So we have to kind of find the right limit there. So, but yes, you really have a scenario where you really need that unlocked. Just let us know through tickets, support tickets, and we'll look into that.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Yep.
One thing, just a clarification. I thought I heard you said that there was a delay from the messages coming in from the devices so we could see them.
For time series insight, time series insight is a service that allows you to manage the timestamp data, right? So you can hook up a time series insight to an IoT Hub and ingest everything that's coming from devices. And then time series insight as an Explorer app in the web, but you can go and you can explore your database. You can actually start mix and matching data with other sources. But what's happening also is that you have APIs for time series insight to display that IoT data into your web app. So you have JavaScript libraries that we have to do charting and so on based on the IoT data. Because we're using under the hoods Cosmos DB and other things, there is a 1-minute delay for time series insights. Now, if you want to do real-time charting, you can totally directly use the data from IoT Hub and display it automatically using WebSockets between backend and front end, and leveraging some of your own app that will ingest data from IoT Hub and then display it on somewhere else. So you have ways to do that. The TSI solution is super powerful to go through a lot of data instantly. It has a little caveat of not being totally real time, but 1 minute for this kind of scenarios is totally acceptable. So if you have a if you want to do like root cause analysis of, hey, here is the last 2 weeks of data from my, vibration sensor, and put that against, what was the weather in that area, and see the temperature differences and correlate all of that, you're not going to do that in the last minute of data. You're going to do that in a long span of time. That said, what you can do though, and this is a scenario, you can have real-time analytics that analyzes, like, for example, anomaly detection and so on, using stream analytics and machine learning, or using your own piece of software that does it. And as soon as some alert is raised, you can actually fetch all the data or start like a process that will deal with the data in real time somewhere, right? The scenario is more about having your system being able to detect something is going to go wrong or is going wrong, and start being more granular in terms of where the data is and is going, and eventually start throwing all the data as alerts to something that is real time somewhere else, right?
Yeah, but real-time alerting, sending an email, doing something.
Yeah.
If that's
No,
a
like
minute
typically.
delay can
Oh
be
yeah,
a long
yeah.
time.
But the delay is for the use in TSI. It's not for the use of the data. There's no delay for once the data is in IT Hub.
So if
the
the temperature rises above the set value,
Yeah.
the email will be sent instantly.
So if you want to send an email, like in IT Central, for example, what's happening is that this rule, this threshold rule, is actually a route that is set up on the IoT Hub, as far as I understand, and I know. And so basically, it's instant in terms of when it's going to trigger the action. Now, I would not send an email for something super urgent. That's not the way I would do it.
But if you need to send an email to a ticketing system or something
Yes.
like that, then
Yeah, totally. You would do that. But let's be honest, like for an email, a 1 minute delay is like totally acceptable, right? But anyways, you're not grabbing the data from TSI. From TSI, you would do that for visualization, right? Actually, IoT Hub has an event hub under the hoods, which is the actual endpoint for data streaming. And you can set up the routes
you
to...
can execute a flow, a workflow to do something, and that will
Yes.
be instant.
Yes, totally. Totally. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just
Yes.
scared that everything was a
No,
minute.
not at all. A good scenario for that is to say you have a route on the IoT Hub that is defined. And that route says for all the devices that are of that type, because you can have that in the device twin, and for when the body temperature value is above that, I'm going to send that very message to that endpoint. Endpoint could be an event hub, could be a message bus queue, could be a message bus topic, right? These ones are instant in reacting to that message that comes in, and then you take an action, whether in your own code, or you trigger a function, or you trigger something else behind that that does the work, basically, right? Make sense?
So, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
You said that, another thing, you said that the Windows 10 IoT Core is supported.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about the Windows 10 IoT Enterprise?
Same.
The same.
Yeah, so when we say it's supported, that means that you can run our SDKs on these devices and they will connect to IoT Hub, right? And when it comes to the security updates and so on, this is a Windows story. We have a Windows IoT booth down there. Go talk to them, because I don't want to say things for them or promise things for them. They're doing a very good job at providing things that are more and more customized for IoT scenarios versus mainstream Windows. Like typically the device update service that they just announced is pretty powerful, because it will filter the updates for what you really need and allow you to decide when and if you want to deploy these before they are published to these Windows devices that are in the field. So you basically take control over your Windows IoT Core devices, where you cannot do that with Windows, classic Windows. Okay, cool.
Aspect and the health. Can we have in the Azure security central dashboard and get
Yeah.
all those.
Yeah. When is that coming? That's the question.
The question was is that support by the Azure Security Central dashboard?
So the integration of IoT Hub into Azure Security Center is something that's coming real soon, like with matter of weeks. So I demoed that at the end,
Yes.
and that's is not yet in here, but that's coming. We're finalizing that, and it should be soon in there. Like we're
All
talking
right.
weeks.
Thanks.
Sure. Bonjour.